All right, well, here's the article I was talking about earlier that social conservatives are going to go more anti gay, more extreme, more right wing. And it's kind of funny because what's his face? Porno Pete, Peter LaBarbera, the head honcho over at Truths. What is it? Americans for Truth about homosexuality, something like that. It's an anti-gay site, an anti-gay group, and they go around spreading rumors that gay people are pedophiles and all that shit. So he's saying that, well, he's really pissed off that a lot of these conservatives, mainstream conservatives and mainstream Republicans, are now trying to basically ditch them, trying to throw them under the bus. And so he's not really happy about that. Well, here's the thing, Porno Pete. I mean, the reason why you're being thrown under the bus in many areas of the country is because your extremism is really getting annoying. Okay? And you might say, Jose, no, we're not getting extreme. We're not getting more anti gay. Well, I want you to listen to this. This is a post by Mass Resistance, which is a group part of the social conservative, quote, pro family, anti gay complex. If you want to call it a complex. Yeah, they're pretty complex, aren't they? Their heads are spinning and they're complex. But they are saying now that we need to be more anti gay. That's how you win these elections. That's what they're saying. I'm not kidding you. They're blaming NOM, the National Organization for Marriage, Brian Brown, and they're blaming all these other people because they're blaming their own people. I mean, there are a lot of finger pointing going around after these elections because they lost Washington, Minnesota, and they are really pissed off about Minnesota. They thought they were going to win that hands down, but they lost there. Maine and in Maryland. So they're saying that the reason that they lost, get this, the reason that they lost was because they're not anti-gay enough. And here's what they say. At its root, gay marriage, in quotes, is really about the forced acceptance of homosexuality as a normal part of society. Forced exception. Anybody's forcing you at gunpoint to accept that reality. But both NOM and the state pro-family groups went to great lengths not to criticize homosexual behavior. They were very fearful of being perceived as anti-gay or homophobic, especially in the liberal press, so they insisted on moderating everyone's messages. In Minnesota, for instance, activists were specifically told, don't make this a gay issue. Now, here's where I kind of agree with them, because I say, look, I can see right through you. What do you mean when you said this is not a gay issue? It is a gay issue, because the reason why you're for this marriage amendment or you're against gay marriage in these various states is because you're against homosexuality. So in some ways, I do agree with mass resistance. I think they should have come out. They should come out of the closet and say, look, this is who we are. This is what we believe in. We think homosexuals are evil. Just be out with it. But they try to be sneaky and convince the public. See, this is where I don't get it, because they say as long as you convince the public, this is what they say. As long as you convince the public that homosexuality is dangerous, that's what they're saying. But how can you convince the public if you yourself are saying, no, don't go too much to the right on this issue? I mean, that's what they said before. They've always been very cautious about that, right? So if people didn't listen to you today regarding marriage, why would they listen to you about whether homosexuals are evil and dangerous and dysfunctional and all that? Maybe I'm dysfunctional. You can say that. You can say Jose Soto is dangerous, dysfunctional. I will approve of that because maybe you might be right. They continue to say those who deviated from this and took a more direct approach were shunned and even publicly criticized by the pro-family establishment. This included some of the vocal black churches in Maryland who wanted to quote the Bible. Now, well, they quoted the Bible, right? They said that gays are worthy of death. So are you telling me that by saying that gays are worthy of death, people will start voting for you? Is that what you're saying? Really? Well, go ahead. I want to see that. I'm totally in support of this. You should definitely come out of the closet. Definitely. Definitely. I totally approve of this. And you should come out. You should unleash yourselves. You should do it. It's like one of those perverted peeping toms. He's just masturbating and behind the bush, looking at a naked woman. Now he's going to appear in front of her and masturbate his junk to her. And let's see what happens when you do that. Let's see what happens when you finally make your appearance in full nudity, flesh and blood. And let's see what the woman's reaction will be. And in this case, let's see what the voters' reaction will be. They'll be like, fuck this. What do you mean gays are worthy of death? But go ahead, by all means, you have my full blessing. You have Jose Soto's full blessing. You can put that in your blog post. Gay activist, if you want to really label me, I guess. Although I'm not really an activist today anymore. Gay commentator, yeah, you can say that. Gay commentator Jose Soto says he blesses our new approach. An activist in Maine and Minnesota who felt compelled to discuss the negative aspects of homosexual behavior. Except for some material posted on websites of the local pro-family groups, there were no attempts at all that we know of to persuade the public through advertising that homosexual behavior was perverse, dysfunctional, and unhealthy. Oh God, this is funny. Well, they had that Schubert guy, George Schubert, was it? I don't know what his first name was, but they had this professional. I mean, he won Proposition 8, a liberal state, blue state all the way, Democratic, and he won that state. He got all those people to vote for Proposition 8. And they hired him again this year, but he failed. That means that the message isn't working anymore. And the thing is, during Prop 8, when they were debating that, nobody came up with what mass resistance was saying. It's not like, oh, let's go, they weren't telling people, oh, homosexuality is unhealthy. No, what were they saying? They were saying that domestic partnerships were available for gay people. They have those rights already. Why should we redefine marriage? Oh, and by the way, they're going to teach gay marriage, and impose it on your kids in school. So that's what really worked. And they did the same thing. They played out the same tactics. But it didn't work this time. So now they're coming up with this shit. Like saying, oh, well, now you need to be more anti-gay. Our side basically conceded that argument completely and even went to lengths to state that we're not anti-gay. Of course. I mean, that's the illusion. But I appreciate this blog post because they're actually admitting to the fact that they are anti-gay. I mean, if they have a problem, if these people, mass resistance, has a problem with the fact that NOM and other, if you want to call it mainstream anti-gay organizations, were trying to persuade people that they were not anti-gay, and you say that's really bad, and you say we shouldn't be doing that, well, do you mean then that, are you actually now admitting that you are anti-gay? Because that's what you're really saying. Let's be honest about this. Anyway. Just one more pea in the pod.